Boy, I've been where you are before. I've cared for... Goddamn, I've loved girls with more of me than I care to admit. But this is your future. This is the rest of your life. This isn't the type that you marry. She's the type that you fuck for a few years, spend your fortune on, and then she leaves you for your best buddy. He inhaled, tearing up a little bit. I just don't want you to see you hurt by her, Streetlamp. I understand, Coach, but you have to understand me. I've known her for most of my life. I've trusted her with all that I am, and she hasn't betrayed me. Sure, we have rough patches. We drift apart sometimes, but we always come back. We always come back. Football is one thing, Coach. But a life without the girl that I love, that's something completely different. They sat in silence for a little while, Coach staring at his desk, and Streetlamp at his lap. Streetlamp's voice croaked as he started to speak again. If you're asking me to choose between football and the love of my life, you know the answer. That season, they went undefeated again, with Streetlamp starting every single game. His passing rating sat on 192.1 for the season, and the speculation surrounding his decision at the end of the year was making the news every single night. A lot of the pro teams have been flying out their coaches to talk to him. He's not sure. He's conflicted, ambivalent. It was late on a Friday that he decided to seek his advice. He called his father, the rock of his life, the man that had always been there for him, loved and cared for him, the man that would give up everything for his son's happiness. Son, his father had said, you've always loved football, but you've always loved helping people too. And that's the quality that I most admire in you. You're a special kid, the best son that a father can hope for, and one that I am so very proud of. Streetlamp couldn't hear his father crying now. I don't know what decision you'll make, but I know you, and I know that whatever decision you come to is going to be the right one. Draft Day, 2032. Streetlamp is paraded across the stage, along with the rest of the speculated top draft picks. He wears a nice suit with a plain white shirt underneath and a crisp dark tie. Just looking at him, you can tell that behind those eyes lurks an incredible intellect. The introductory proceedings stretch on for half an hour, but finally they're backstage again. Streetlamp sighs, his nerves holding his chest in a vice. It's going to be fine, honey, she says, hugging him tight to her chest. I know, it's just... wow. Who would have thought, hey? Who would have thought? I always knew. I read a story about you once, said his father, joking to relieve the tension. Best goddamn story ever written. Streetlamp laughed. That's ridiculous. Loosened you up, though, didn't it? Sure did. There was a short silence. Streetlamp rubbed his eyes. Did you get much sleep last night? His mother asked. Not enough, Streetlamp said. The nerves, you know. First pick, I'm telling you, son. LA Jaguars. Your new home. The introductions are done. The elderly Peyton Manning stands in front of thousands of fans, millions watching live at home. The first pick of the 2032 draft goes to the LA Jaguars. A tense minute passes. Streetlamp watches the action on a small TV in the backstage area, a camera up in his face. Another minute passes. He starts to panic. Abigail clutches his hand, staring at her. He can't help but smile. Over the last year, she'd traded her cropped hair for a longer style, and her leather in for sweaters and blouses. She never did say why, but he suspected that word got back to her about his confrontation with the coach. He'd asked, but she just denied. And with the first pick of the 2032 NFL Draft, the LA Jaguars pick Streetlamp Le Moose. His jaw drops, exhaling deeply, his eyes wide open. His mother and father are jumping up and down, screaming. Abigail is clutching onto him tighter than ever. "You did it," she says. "You did it." The day after, the contract had been drawn up, including the special circumstances. The news story broke that night. Streetlamp Le Moose signed for $47 million over 7 years, reported to also be attending law school as well. He's taking the degree externally. He told his father the day before signing he'd been accepted to Yale. 2036. He hesitated briefly, enough time for a grin to stretch ear to ear. "I do. You may now kiss the bride." With that, he removed the veil from Abigail's face. She smiled back at him. Her hair was well past her shoulders now, and stuck a little to the veil. He wiped it off, tucking it behind her ear. "I love you, you know." She smiled. "I know." In that moment, during that kiss, he felt like he'd never kissed a girl before. Like this was the beginning of a lot of firsts. He slipped the ring onto her fingers. It was simple, plain, white gold with an inlay of diamonds. She slipped his on, plain gold. It contrasted beautifully with the two over-designed Super Bowl rings on his right hand. The same year, he stood in front of the graduation class of Yale Law School. "I don't know very many of you," he said, "and that's a shame. I don't doubt that you're all wonderful people, and it pains me to have not the opportunity to meet and spend time with you all. We have all had a tough few years, struggling through corporate law and the intricacies of civil procedure, but we made it. Today," he started, staring out at the crowd, "we stand not students, but lawyers. We stand as the guardians of justice. We stand as the defenders of good. We stand as the people that can make a physical, tangible change to the world for the better. I want to tell you all a story. In middle school, I fell in love with a girl. I ran into her again in my second year of pre-law. She didn't look like she used to, or act like the person she once was, but love doesn't discriminate. I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life that year. My coach asked me to choose between playing football and being with the person that I love. He asked me to choose because of how she looked, of how she was perceived, of the person that he believed that she was, judging only on the superficial. I chose her. That day, it struck me. There's a lot of people in the world that judge and believe based solely off the superficial. There are a lot of people that don't care to take the time to get to know somebody, to care for them and understand them. I ask everybody out here today to remember this and hold it as tightly as I do. It is our job now to fight for people who can't fight anymore. It is not our job to judge them for how they got there. It is our job to create permanent, lasting change, not to make our world appear better, to make it actually better. I would like to leave you today with a quote. The real judges of your character aren't your neighbors, your relatives, or even the people you play bridge with. The folks who really know you are waiters, waitresses, and clerks. Thank you. 2041. His office overlooked the field. Deep white lines punctured the lush grass. "Ever going to upgrade to AstroTurf, sir?" Streetlamp asked. The franchise owner laughed. It was a deep laugh, jolly even. He was the type of man that could make a child believe there was Santa for a few more years. "I can't stand the stuff," he said. "If it's not real, it can't be good."